Okay guys, so this is going to be an update video of baby Azariah. So last night was a long night. We did a lot of just pre-op type things, so trying to get I'm tired. Tried to get like the blood draws and stuff that he needed for pre-lab work. He also needed to have a line in order to go to surgery. They also weren't sure if he was going to need to have blood before surgery. So all those things need to happen. He is really hard to get a line into. So that was, yeah, it was just kind of a little bit of craziness. So they got some blood, and then I like to be right there with him. So usually, and I'm like saying what I do just so if anyone else is in the NICU and they're looking for ways, because this was challenging for me to figure out ways to like comfort him. But if I put like one hand on his head and then like kind of put my hands over his hands like this, and his hands are up like this, then that really seems to comfort him. And just talking in a quiet voice like, hi buddy, mama's right here, like that. Just kind of talking in that quiet low tone just so they can hear your voice is really helpful in calming them like through procedures. So he barely like fusses or fussed or whatever at all. Because of that, he just kind of rolls with the punches. So he had some blood draws for the pre-lab work, and then they realized that they probably were going to need the IV lab to come up and go ahead and do a line, because the nurse didn't feel comfortable with the veins that she was seeing doing a line. So they did that, and they got it like first go. They got it. And so she had one line, and they were hoping for two lines, and she tried another one, and it just didn't work. And he got really irritated with that one. So they're like, we can make one line work, so let's just do that. If they need to put another line in, then they can do it tomorrow while he's like sedated for surgery. So that was that. That was done. Trying to think time wise, I think it was like 12:31, something like that that got done. And then I laid down for a minute, and he started like cough gagging. So I ended up going and seeing him, and he just needed like a little bit of a reposition, so I just moved him over a little bit. And so then he stopped his feeds at 2 because he needed to not be fed before his procedure. So stopped his feeds at 2, and then by it was 3:30, he was starting to get a little bit cranky, and so I got up and I put a little pacifier in his mouth, and I kind of snugged him in tight, repositioned him. I pet his bum a little bit. So sometimes like if I hold a pacifier into his mouth, and because at first he doesn't know what to think of it, because so many things like they suction his mouth out and everything, he's not quite sure like, okay, what is this going in my mouth? But once he realizes that it is the pacifier, then he usually does well sucking it. So I'll just hold it in his mouth for a couple minutes, and then while I'm doing that, I'll take my other hand and just tap his bum. So he really likes that. So I was holding the pacifier, tapping his bum, and just I'll like hum, or I'll talk to him, or yeah, sometimes I'll turn, like he has this little hedgehog that plays music and vibrates. Sometimes I'll put that on his back and try that. So did that, then I laid back down for a couple minutes, and like 10 minutes later he was back up again, and tried to change his diaper and get him all snugged in, settled back in again, and he snuggled in, laid back down. Actually, I went to the bathroom, and then he started like fussing while I was in the bathroom, and so the nurses had come in. It was almost time to do like his care type stuff. So they said they were going to do his cares and get him all snugged in. So they did his cares, and then they snugged him in really tight, and he fell asleep, which was wonderful. So he fell asleep from about 4 to 6:30-ish. which was nice. So I laid down and I fell asleep during that time. And then I could hear him, but he wasn't like fussing. He was just kind of like grunting, making little noises or whatever. So then we had lots of stuff going on today. So we got my coffee, so we were ready to do my stuff, all the stuff. So I got coffee, pumped. My husband was going to be coming in for the surgery, so just seeing what's going on. I guess technically it's not a surgery because it's not in the surgery, it's in the cath lab, so it's separate. But I keep calling it a surgery, so if anyone wants to be particular, I know that it's not really a surgery, it's a cath procedure, I guess. Anyway, to me it's kind of like if you're cutting somebody open, then it's a surgery, but whatever. Yeah, so then we did lots of things this morning. There was some more labs that needed to be taken. They needed to intubate him and sedate him, which is very like emotionally draining. All this stuff is very emotionally draining because you love your child and you don't want to see them go through anything or go through any pain or suffering or anything like that. But then if you think, if any of my children right now, say they got in a car accident and they needed a procedure to help them to live their life, then I would be right there, right? And it'd be hard for me to be there during all these things. But in the end, I know that it would be a benefit and a blessing to them and to their life and to our life together as a family. And so that just kind of like encourages me, and also to know that the Lord is always with us. And yeah, it's nice to kind of like sing that or talk that into Azariah as well, just explaining or telling him like how special he is, right? And so he ended up going into the cath lab. Finally, they had to do a head ultrasound. They wanted to make sure because he had a brain bleed at the beginning. If you guys remember this, he had a brain bleed, which was like the second week of his life. He is now 8 weeks old today. So like the second week of his life, he had a brain bleed and they were giving him a blood thinner. So they just wanted to make sure that everything looked okay in order to give him the blood thinner for the surgery. So they were checking all of that out. And then he went in around 3:30, and it was hard. It is hard, like emotionally, because you know how serious it is. But I am very pleased to announce that he just came back about half an hour ago, maybe an hour ago, because we just ate too. He just came back about an hour ago, and he is doing really well. They said he did really well during the surgery. And yeah, so they said he just did great. And I have more news, but I'm not going to give the rest of the news until I actually talk to the doctor, which I'm thinking is probably going to be tomorrow. So I'll come up with I'll let you guys know grand plan, what things are looking like, and all that type of stuff after I know personally. I just kind of have a general overview of how it went, but I have not actually talked to a doctor to know exactly what's going on. So anyhow, that was our day. I just wanted to update you because I know a lot of you are praying for today. So I didn't want to like leave you in the dark, leave you in the lurches for days, like until I talk to a doctor. So that is the day, how it went, and the update. Right now he is still intubated and still under sedation, and they're talking about leaving that overnight, and then I'm talking about things in the morning. So we'll know better in the morning for that. So I hope you all have a blessed and wonderful day.